I just want to ask you one question. I mean,
Sure.
it's like a pretty common one. I mean, but why is there in the medical community, like why all the doctors? I mean, why don't they know like nothing about it? I mean, they're like pretty clueless about it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so um, unless you're like in a real niche in academia, you don't read the journal articles. And so
Yeah,
even though people have been talking about PSSD for like, I don't know, like a couple decades now,
yeah, it's
you
pretty
know,
long. Yeah,
yeah, no psychiatrists and such would be reading that, or family medicine doctors. And then, even when the EMA and Health Canada updated the warnings in 2000, I mean, they did it really on the down low. They didn't send out any letters to prescribers or anything like that. They just changed the words in the label. And doctors don't read drug labels. The way doctors learn how to use drugs, usually it's just
yeah,
how they were taught by the people who trained them. They watched how they described the risks. And unless they're, actively, going onto the FDA website or whatever drug
yeah.
regulator website and downloading it, they're not
Huh.
going to they're not going to know about it. But I think, I mean, that could change now because, when you say, hey,
Yeah,
I've got this, now you could walk in there and just say, yeah, here's the updated label language from European
yeah,
Union. It's the
yeah,
second largest drug regulator in the world, and
yeah,
they've put this as a special warnings and precaution. But
yeah,
yeah, it's really like, I guess you could kind of think about, a lot of these drug problems, they're really, why do they happen to so many people? And it's because there's deficits in how quickly people detect them. I think it's underfunded, how,
huh.
having researchers go and track these things down. I used to work at the FDA. I mean, I was in the division of psychiatry. There's like 15 of us, looking at all of these adverse reactions, tens of thousands of them coming in every day. And so there's not a lot of people there. And then also, there's also like interesting incentives working like for
Yeah,
drug regulators. For
yeah.
instance, the way the FDA is funded in the United States is through something called PDUFA. We get our money from the
Okay.
pharmaceutical company. But in order for the FDA to get the funding from the pharmaceutical company, we need to meet certain like milestones, and
Yeah.
one of them
Okay.
is we need to, every time they send in a new protocol, you need to review it within 30 days and approve it.
Huh.
Every time they send in an application to get a drug onto the market, you have 9 months to approve it, sometimes sooner. And so, because we have these deadlines that have been imposed on us by the pharmaceutical companies because we want their funding,
Yeah.
a lot of the resources from the divisions go towards evaluating new research protocols or getting drugs onto the market. But at the same time, we're still getting all of these adverse reactions coming in, landing in our inbox. We're meant to be reviewing them. We're meant to be conducting, assessment reports on, these things coming in and making decisions. But honestly, like for the most part, no one cares about that as much because like
Yeah.
the, you're not going to get in trouble if you fail to meet some deadline in detecting an adverse reaction, but you will get in trouble like if you make the pharmaceutical company wait, more than 30 days for their
Yeah.
protocol. So there's this kind of perversion that's happened where, because it's where we get our funding, that's where the focus is,
Yeah.
and so there's a problem with detection and resourcing, and then there's a risk mitigation problem. A lot of the times the FDA is just like, okay, yeah, we put it in the drug label, we're done, but obviously there's a lot more that you could do out there. Like I said, you can send letters to all of the doctors. You can mandate that a company puts on a presentation or something at a scientific conference.
Yeah.
But the FDA, for whatever reason, they're not interested in doing that
Yeah.
for this risk, or the EMA is not interested. Sorry, FDA hasn't even acknowledged this one, but the EMA,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not. they're not interested in doing that. And so, they can put it in the label, but no one knows what it is. And I guess, um, pharmaceutical companies as well, from what I've seen working for them is, um, I mean, they will, when it comes to the risks of the drugs, they will do kind of the least that they need to in terms of, talking about it or
Yeah,
even
no.
educating people about it. I mean, they're, it's they're corrupted, I guess, by a kind of a no, I'd say they're influenced by this kind of profit motive. Every time
Yeah,
there's like a
exactly. Yeah.
decision made at the top, there could be someone there like me saying, "Hey, we should really, do some better risk mitigation for this
Mm.
side effect." There's going to be someone on the commercial side who says, "Well, Joseph, we risk making a bigger deal out of this than it is, and." If you look at the competitor drugs out there, the competitors, they're not talking about this risk. And, you know, FDA and EMA, they're not mandating it for the other drugs. So why would we put ourselves at a disadvantage by talking about a risk when, the regulators aren't making other companies do it? It's a lot of it is very, um, I guess, I mean, it makes sense when you kind of think about it. I mean, they're businesses just like every other
Yeah,
business,
exactly.
and these things kind of
Exactly.
happen. But but in this business, when something goes wrong, I mean, look at it. They've destroyed, tens of thousands of lives now, and
Yeah.
seemingly it looks like they don't give a shit. So it's
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
it's a disaster when it goes wrong.
yeah, PSSD is just one thing I've seen. A lot of people who get like protective withdrawal.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and even that goes for like forever. The withdrawals, from benzos, antipsychotics, and SSRIs, obviously. I mean, yeah, I know people, so who've gone through like horrific withdrawals. Yeah,
yeah,
not from, I mean, the online community, like in person, I know. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty messed up. I mean, let's talk about the other drug. I mean, I know finasteride. I mean, it causes like similar problems. And I know people, like at least 5 or 6 people in person, you know,
taking it. Yeah, yeah,
who took it and had similar reactions to it. You know, all of
yeah,
the people I know who took finasteride, they had pretty bad side effects, and it took them pretty long to recover, like
yeah.
pretty long.
Yeah, and I've thought about this. I mean, some of this stuff it's more common than you than
Yeah, I
than than
mean,
you
so
think, because I know of one of my wife's friends' husbands, I think, who came off an antidepressant, and I just heard like, oh yeah, it took him 6 months to regain his sexual functioning, and
yeah, yeah.
that's like on the mildest side of it. But like
Mild
after you
effect,
hear stories of this just from your network, you're like, well, 6 months, that's a long time.
long time.
And
Yeah,
and I mean, we're not asking questions. I mean, I don't even know if it was a full recovery, but I mean, six
yeah.
months is not what you would consider normal. Um,
Normal, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's I would believe it's not I would what people think. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, uh, yes, I would really want. I mean, I really like what PSSG network is doing at the moment. You know, yeah, we need to get it out there to spread as much awareness as we can. Yeah,
I
and
agree. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'm trying to hammer it on social media as hard as I can, but I
and I,
mean,
I have one more question for you. I mean, again, I mean, if you
yeah.
don't mind, I mean, uh, like what got you into this? I mean, you know,
Like, why do I care about drug side effects and all that kind
yeah,
of
I mean,
stuff? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Good question. I'm
because
I
there's
came
not a
in.
lot of people, who are doing this. I mean, there's not a lot of people.
Yeah, why
I
me?
don't know. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, the story I tell is that my mom is Chinese, and so I had to become a doctor. Is like the first
okay,
thing, and so But I was always really interested in psychology and self-help, and that was kind of where my natural like passion and interest was for a long time, long-standing interest. And so I ended up, you know, fulfilling my mother's dream, you're going to medical
Yeah.
school, but then I needed to do something that fit with me. So I went into psychiatry, and I have to say I was just horrified by what I saw when I got there. I mean, I had lived my life, kind of going through it thinking that, if I had some kind of problem, in a relationship or with self-esteem, motivation, anything like that, you could go and talk to people, you could go and pick up a book. I mean, you could fix some of these things on your own. And so that was my frame coming into it. And then I walk into psychiatry and it's heavily medicalized. These are major depressive disorders and things like that. And I'm not saying there's no genetic predisposition for some of these mental illnesses. There is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what is happening at the moment is just that it has gone so far, where the way these conditions are talked about, it's as if they're mostly biological, and yeah, maybe some contextual stress and maybe, things like that can play a role. But, really, you have these
Yeah.
disorders, and because these are genuine disorders, you should not
Yeah. That's
feel
what
any shame
that's
or
what they've been
stigma.
promoting. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And so they say you shouldn't feel any shame or stigma about taking medications. And I mean, in practice, what happens is, I mean, the drugs just get handed out like as if there's no problem with them. And so from the get-go, I was kind of suspicious of this. I said, this is not the kind of treatment that I would ever want for my child or for anyone else. And
Yeah.
so, um, and then so I started looking elsewhere, and honestly, the biggest influence for me career-wise has been David Healy. I think I started following him back in 2016. I mean, he has a critical view and about psychiatry and the way it's practiced, but he's also probably the most knowledgeable person out there about drug side effects from
Yeah.
psychiatric medications. And so
Yeah.
I really took to his work, and I was lucky enough to form initially a professional relationship with him, and now, more of a friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just heavily influenced what I'm interested in. But I mean, my overall mission has always been like to tell people, think twice before you get on these drugs. There
Exactly.
are other ways that you can treat your problems. And so that's why I love talking about drug side effects so much, because they're minimized. And if people knew the problems that could happen with these drugs, they would make much more responsible and informed
I
choices
would
about
say
it.
nobody would ever, I mean, like most of the people, they won't even touch it. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
like, uh, I mean, if you are like a pretty severe case of like your depression, then
Sure.
even then,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of other ways, to get out of it. I mean, you know,
And I mean, one of the reasons right now that I don't talk about on the channel, but I may talk about it soon, is I'm interested in psychedelics, because I'm interested in the
yeah,
whole paradigm of, you take one treatment, you do some sessions with a therapist before and after to integrate the experience, and then you move on with your life. Or maybe
exactly,
you just do it every like 2 months or something like that. It's not you putting a drug in your
yeah,
body every single day and
yeah,
undergoing that cumulative exposure to the medication
yeah.
and the side effects. So I could see that being an area that I would
It's
start to
yeah,
promote
yeah, yeah.
if that
I mean,
comes up. Yeah.
it's yeah. I mean, I've seen. I mean, I don't know a lot of people, but I've seen a lot of people, uh, who've gotten better like permanently from psychedelics, especially from psilocybin.
Yep.
Yeah, psilocybin has been. Yeah, I've seen a lot of like people, in the online community, they've gotten like really better, from just one single macro dose. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, uh, and I think John Hopkins. I mean, I'm not if I'm wrong. They
They
do it
do a lot
right.
of research there. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And the
yeah,
first one is probably going to be coming through later on this year. There's a company called Maps, and they're developing
yeah, yeah.
MDMA for PTSD. And if
PSC,
they
yeah,
get
yeah,
approval, it's in drug development, once one thing gets through, it
Yeah.
sets the precedent for every single compound that comes afterwards. The same way, when Prozac came through, every single other drug company making a similar drug just had to do the same study, and
Yeah.
they would be approved if they had similar results. So if MAPS gets MDMA onto the market, you're going to have psilocybin, maybe ibogaine, maybe different types of things, all following that same beaten path.
Yeah.
And the chances that, if one gets through many, the chance is that there will be several others that will then be approved. And then, I mean, yeah. So if this one drug comes through, it's almost going to be a renaissance in terms of psychiatric treatment, because it may influence, the same way Prozac has influenced the last 30 years of psychiatric treatment. This may have the same effect. So
Yeah.
it's really that big of a deal to have this kind of shift in the way we treat people. So I'm
Yeah.
watching it closely, and if it happens, you better believe I'm opening up some kind of retreat where I live, where I can
Yeah.
safely
Yeah.
dose people with these
Yeah.
psychedelics and get them off
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
other things. Yeah,
Get them off the other things. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Uh,
it's an exciting time. If you ever want to,
yeah.
come to the US and work at this retreat, come and help me out. If it gives you something to do, hit me up, okay? Yeah,
Definitely. 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 But I
yeah,
need to get better from this condition first.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I think that's about it. I mean, we covered enough. I mean, yeah. So yeah. Um, it's a pretty dark situation, for us at the moment right now, for all PSSD sufferers, Yeah. All all we could do is, you know, sp- I mean, uh, trial and error, to get better. And I can understand if people don't want to trial and error, they should at least do come up and spread awareness as much as they can, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really would want people to come up and not suffer in silence. So that's all I want to say.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I'm going to say thank you again for agreeing to come on and have a chat with me, and I'll go ahead and stop the recording.
Yeah. Thank you, Yusuf, for having me. Thank you so much. We'll
Yeah.
talk soon.